Hey there, kids. Here we are. We're talking fraction fluency again. Let's take a look. Today we're looking at improper fractions and mixed numbers. Now, just for the record, you know that each one of these plastic pieces is really a unit fraction. If it has a numerator of 1, it's a unit fraction. So each one of these plastic pieces is a unit fraction. Remember that. Okay, let's take a look at this right here, improper fractions and mixed numbers. A fraction is improper if the numerator, the top number, is bigger than the denominator, the bottom number. Okay, so let's take a look at this right here. Ready? Here we go. Okay, the first one right here, it says this. It says 4 halves. Well, let's take a look right here. We got 1 half and 2 halves and 3 halves and 4 halves. Now here's something. Usually a fraction isn't written with a slant like this. It's really, in most textbooks, it looks like that, doesn't it? This line right here means the same thing as divided by. So this is really 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? Okay, and that's true because look at, if we have 4 halves, this row right here, that makes one whole because that's the same as this red piece. And this whole right here makes a whole. 2 halves make a whole. The first one right here was 2 halves, right? The second one, the bottom one, was 2 halves. Each one of these is worth 1, but 2 halves plus 2 halves equals 4 halves, right? Isn't that true? And that's what we started with, 4 halves. But this one's equal to 1 plus 1. Okay, 1 here and 1 here. 1 plus 1 equals 2. So 4 halves equals 2. Do you see that? All right, next. Oh, 3 halves. Well, this right here would be the same thing as 2 halves. Here they are, this one and this one. 2 halves plus this one, which is 1 half. Now you know that 2 halves is the same thing as 1. Do you see it right there? Okay, these 2 halves are the same length as that red piece right there. So 2 halves equal 1, plus you got this half right here dangling off the end, so that's another half, so we put that right here. It's 1 and a half then. These two make 1 and then a half. Ready? Next. 4 thirds. Well, that's the same thing. You can think about it like this. If we split it up right here, it's the same thing as 3 thirds. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 thirds plus this 1/3 right here, plus that 1/3 right there. Now 3 thirds really equals how much? Right, 1, plus this 1/3 right there, so it equals 1 1/3. Can you see it in the picture? Next, 6 thirds. Now remember, I told you that this line means divided by, and so you could write it like this, 6 thirds. And I said to you that this line really means what? What did I say that was? Divided by. So this is 6 divided by 3. Well, 6 divided by 3 equals 2, doesn't it? Well, let's look at this a little bit more. Here's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So this one right here, that row is 3/3. And you know that that equals a whole. Now here's another 3/3. 1, 2, 3. That is 3/3. So we have 3/3 once, we have 3/3 twice, we have 2 wholes. The first one is the same length as that, and then the second one is the same length. This one right here equaled a whole, this one right here equaled a whole, and together they equaled 2. Ready? Next. 5 thirds, okay? Well, 5 thirds is really the same thing as, let's look here, these are 3 thirds, right? There's 1, 2, 3, and then we got 2 more thirds down here. This is number 4 and 5, right? But we can start over again counting. That's 1/3 and 2/3. So it's really 3 thirds plus 2 thirds. Isn't that true? Okay. Well, 3 thirds we know equals a whole, and 2 thirds equals 2 thirds. So that's 1 2/3, right? You get what I'm doing? Okay, this was 3/3 plus 2/3 equals 5/3. Next, 4/4. How much is that? Anytime the numerator and denominator are the same, it equals 1 whole. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, and it's the same amount as 1 whole. You get that? 5/4. Okay, now this is improper right here because you can't have the numerator bigger than the denominator. Well, this is easy. We can just divide it up like this. 5/4 is really 4/4 plus 1/4. Okay? 4/4 equals a whole, and 1/4 equals 1/4. So it's 1 and 1/4. And look it down here. That's 1, and here's your 1/4 right there. Okay? Next, 6/4. All right. Well, 6/4, if we count these right here, there's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. That equals 4/4, right? Plus we have 2 more fourths plus 2/4. Okay. Well, 4/4 equals 1. Do you see it there? That equals 1. And 2/4, isn't 2 half of 4? 2/4. 2/4 is really the same thing as a half, so it's 1 1/2. Get it? Next, 8/4. Hey, let me make it easy for you. 8/4 is really the same thing as 8 divided by 4. You know what I mean? 8 divided by 4 equals 2, doesn't it? All right, well, it's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. That's 1. Then we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. That's 2. Okay, and 8/4 is 1 and 1. That makes 2, right? Do you see it? Next, 5/5. Come on, kids. You know what that equals. 1. Look at the picture. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5 is the same length as this red piece, which is equal to 1 whole, you know? Anytime the numerator and denominator are the same, it equals a whole. 6/5. Gee, well, 6/5 is easy. That's the same thing as 5/5 plus 1 more fifth. Okay, 5/5 equals 1. And then you got this piece right here dangling off on the end right here. So that's by itself, and that's 1/5. 5/5 plus 1/5 is 6/5, or it's 1 and 1/5. You get what's happening? Woo, 10/5. Look at this. Well, kids, got to tell you, it's the same thing as 10 divided by 5. Okay? Isn't 10 divided by 5 2? Can't you get 2 5s in 10? So we come down here. That's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. That made 1. And then we do it again. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. That made another 1. 1 and 1 is 2, right? Okay, kids, that's the end of that part right there. Go ahead and give it a try. If you need help, come see us. We will help you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.